Hello and welcome to Transfermarkt TV. I'm Manu Feth, he's Stefan Biankowski, and Stefan, today's big topic is Liverpool and what Liverpool should be doing in this upcoming transfer window. This upcoming transfer window is coming fast. Stefan, we want to go through the squad and just highlight a few things that they need to do in order to improve it. And this is a team that is in huge flux at the moment. A bunch of players were announced this week to leave. Stefan, let's start with the defense. What should Liverpool do in defense?
Yeah, so on paper, Liverpool's defence is actually pretty well stocked. They've got two solid left backs. They've got, one of the best right backs in the world and a pretty good alternative in Calvin Ramsey. He didn't really get much game time this season. He joined from Aberdeen. Very highly regarded Scottish defender. Hopefully, we'll see more of him next season. But long story short, he's going to be like the kind of understudy to Trent Alexander-Arnold. So the fullback positions are fine. They do have a number of central defenders as well. They've got some great central defenders. But if you kind of pick through that list, there are some issues that may be worth considering this summer. For example, Van Dijk and Joe Matip will both be 32 at the start of next season. And the two of them alongside Kanati are probably Klopp's go-to central defenders for those two central defensive positions. And then you kind of go beyond that. You're moving on to Joe Gomez, who's not bad, but then Nathaniel Phillips, Reece Williams. It's not a great level of depth, and there's also maybe some concern, especially this season, that Van Dijk might be beginning to slow down. He's had some injury concerns, so if Liverpool are going to strengthen defence, I think they would probably do well to bring in another central defender. Maybe not a top class player to step in for Van Dijk or Konate or Matip, but someone who's capable enough to kind of challenge them for first team spots. Maybe move Joe Gomez down the hierarchy one step, and just make sure there's more kind of a safer pair of hands on the bench if and when needed.
Right. So lots of work to be done there in midfield. And I feel like every time I go on Twitter, I see a Liverpool publication publishing something about we need to sign this midfielder. We need to replicate the Bellingham trick there. We need to do this. We need to do that. It seems like this is the area of biggest concern. Of course, they were heavily linked with Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham has his camp or Liverpool camp or whoever's camp has basically said that's not happening. Um, what do they need to do to strengthen what is a really vital area for Klopp's side there?
Yeah, I think Liverpool are probably going to spend most of the summer looking at that central midfield position because it is quite stark. So just to offer up some context, for three of the four players that they'd said were leaving the club this summer are central midfielders. We're talking about James Milner, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's obviously developed into central midfielder, and Naby Keita, who never really quite worked out after leaving or joining from RB Leipzig. You then add Arthur, who joined on loan from Juventus, who'll be returning to Juventus this summer. And that's already four central midfielders leaving the squad this summer. And if you kind of look at who's left, it definitely points to some serious need for younger legs, healthier legs, whatever you want to call it, because you've got Thiago, you've got Jordan Henderson, Fabinho. These are three guys who are getting on in years. Obviously, Fabinho perhaps not so much as Thiago and Jordan Henderson, but undoubtedly senior players have a lot of minutes in their legs. Then you've kind of got younger players like Curtis Jones and Bajcetic who have both shown that they're capable of certainly doing well. Curtis Jones has kind of come into his game the last kind of couple of weeks. Bajcetic, the young Spanish player, I think there's high hopes for him as well. But to really kind of pin everything on these two players to kind of make up for the players leaving would be quite a risk in my opinion, and that's why we have seen Liverpool be linked with such a huge breadth of central midfielders from across the world, never mind Europe. So there's no doubt that, at least one central midfielder coming in this summer is an absolute must for Liverpool because while they do have bodies in those positions left at the squad, some are too old, some are too injury prone, and some, frankly, haven't really had the time to prove themselves, even if they are young and very promising players. So they need some proven talent in there immediately.
Yeah, lots of work to be done. I think this is the most vital area, but it doesn't end there because in attack you have one big figure leaving. That's Roberto Firmino. He's been an icon for this club. Moving on, we don't know where yet, but we do know that they have to do something to replace him.
Yeah, Firmino's an interesting one. You could probably argue that they maybe already tried to preempt his departure by signing a number of players this season. Gakpo's perhaps the most obvious one, or the most like for like, who can kind of play in that number 10 role or between the spaces in the front and attack. But there's no doubt that Firmino's goals and assists will be missed. He's kind of been in and out of the squad this season, but he's still racked up a decent amount of goals and assists. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's actually still second in the squad this season for goals and assists. So there's no doubt they're going to miss that. The issue for Liverpool's front line is they do already have all the bodies in place. They just aren't really working yet. If you look at the squad for the season, Mohamed Salah has really been carrying that forward line. He's either scored or created 45% of their goals in all competitions this season. And you've got guys like Diego Jota, Diaz. Well, sorry, I can't speak. Cody Gakpo, but most importantly, Darwin Núñez. These guys all probably do need to step up. You would suspect that most of them would, because they'll be kind of past those first season jitters. They'll be far more established at the club. They'll know what's expected of them, etc., etc. So I think for Liverpool front line going forward, I don't think they need to bring any more players in. They just have to figure out a way to kind of get these players all playing the way that they should be playing, because there's more than enough firepower there in theory. Klopp just has to get them going, and yeah, then I think if he does, then they won't really have to worry about a Firmino replacement.
Yeah, fascinating times at Liverpool, which is going to be a very busy transfer window for them. If you go to Transfermarkt and you head to Liverpool's page, you can actually check out their squad for next season in the statistic tabs or the over squads tab. So check out that tool. There's all bunch of tools when you look at the statistic page for on Transfermarkt for Liverpool. So play around with the squad a little bit. Let us know what you think, where they need to strengthen. Maybe mention some names in the comments. And check out our rumor mill too, where players are linked all the time to Liverpool. You can assure it will be very busy on this forum as well. But Stefan, that's it from us. We'll be back soon with more content. Until then, cheers and bye bye.